Today, I want to talk to you and define the word service. I think we're moving so fast as a society that we don't even know what it's like to serve or to give all of our heart and all of our soul to anything. He says, but if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose this day who you will serve.
Hey, what's up, good people? This is Julian Alexis Roberts, the founder of Campaign P31, a platform for women who are chosen and set apart. And today, you guys, we have yet another interview. We are hanging out today in the office. It's kind of crazy. We're just kind of like doing our thing. I thought that it would be really cool. Remember, we just did a graduation. So I'm bringing one of my good girlfriends in, Miss Danielle West Jackson. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, girl. I'm good.
Good.
Listen, all right, graduate.
Yay.
She's a graduate of our recent spring semester or session of Beauty and Forgiveness. It is our master class that we teach all on just the things that it takes to actually practically live out forgiveness in your life on a daily basis. And we were just talking before we started about things in life that always show up. They're going to show up.
Yes.
And you get an opportunity to continue to practice all the things that you learn in the group. And so today I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to kind of see how has life been going or what you've been doing since the class. So we have this like thread that we have not stopped because everybody keeps kind of like chiming in and giving updates on what's going on with them.
Yes.
And so I wanted you to have an opportunity to chat it up and tell us a little bit about what's gone on or what you're still working on or what's happened since graduation. All right. But
Sounds
before
good.
you get started, here's how we're gonna start on this question. I want you to briefly describe the program to a woman who is still kind of like on the fence. She hasn't quite made her mind up. She's, got thoughts, got ideas. She knows that she probably should be in the class, but is still hesitant. What would you say to her? How would you briefly describe the program?
So, how I would briefly describe the program is like this. Oftentimes, especially being in the church, we think that, we get the feel good message and we go up for prayer or we, kind of link ourselves to people and we ask for prayer and whatever. But I think this class, this program will definitely help you to dig deeper. It'll help you dig deeper past just the Sunday thing. It will also challenge you to look at yourself. In this program, we met every morning and we interacted with each other. But there were some times where other behaviors or thoughts were triggering. And like for me, I didn't realize that it was even something that I was dealing with. So I was like, oh Lord, I need to work on forgiveness in this part of my life, in this thought process. And also the beauty in this program is that you get a mentor. So I was able to chime in with my mentor. Oftentimes, again, like I'm saying, we go to church and we don't have that connection outside of the building. We don't have that connection outside of that Sunday. And so it's great because you're able to text your mentor, say, hey, I'm having a moment, can I call you right now? Or is there a good time for me to call you and talk to you and to work through those things? And that can be daily. It could be once a week. It could be twice a week. It could be, whatever is a good time for you and your mentor, but you have that support.
Yeah.
Also being in the word on a daily basis. How many of us are exercising that muscle? We put on the devotional, or we'll put on the praise and worship music, but to really sit down and get into the word and meet the Father where we are,
Yeah.
and to be able to exercise that muscle of every day. For me, it was like I had so much peace. I had so much peace starting my day off with the word, understanding what God thinks about me, understanding what God is teaching me about forgiveness. It allowed me to be able to even have more compassion for people.
That's
Oftentimes
good.
people might be thinking that, oh, this is a group where we're going to go in and bash the
Oh
people we
no,
need to forgive, but we're not.
you will
We're
not.
not. We're literally dealing with ourselves,
Mhm.
you know, because at the end of the day, what I learned from this program is if I don't forgive, then I am not forgiven. Bottom line, I don't care how you wrap it, I don't care how you talk about it. We could go on and on about things that happened to us 20, 30 years ago, but if I don't forgive,
Yeah.
then I am not forgiven. And that is the biggest thing that God imprinted on my heart.
So where were you before the program started? Like, where were you in your personal life, and then where did you start to shift throughout the
Okay.
program? Because it's 6 weeks, so there's a
Mhm.
lot to do in 6 weeks.
It is. And I think for me, I thought I had forgiven.
Oh.
And I thought I had forgiven because I was still showing up.
Mm.
But I realized that I had not, because every time I would show up, I would have an issue.
Got it.
I'd be upset. I would start to rehash. That's one of the things that we learn. The rehashing is not forgiveness. So
Mhm.
it was like, oh, this happened. Oh, this is why and so I realized that I had not forgiven. So boundaries is
Mhm.
what started to teach me, was that as a believer, sometimes we think that it's okay to lay down and be a doormat and suck it up, and hey, and those are, Jesus came to serve, not to be served, right?
Mhm.
So there are some times where you are going to have to face, he says, do good to your enemies, love your enemies, but you also have to create healthy boundaries.
Yep.
And so for me, learning how to create those healthy boundaries, even in the forgiveness,
Mm.
like, you know what, this is causing me to sin. So I need to pull back a little bit, but I forgive you. I'm learning. I'm forgiving you. I'm loving you. I'm going to learn how to support you in other ways, but I necessarily don't need to do this certain thing that I've been doing because
Yeah.
it's not forgiveness.
Yeah. I can't stay healthy in that.
Yes. I
Yeah.
can't be a show. I can't put on the
Mm.
face. How many times do we put on the face? We put on the show knowing we walking into something and we are so upset and we're so angry and we're passive aggressive and we're either joking too much or, being quiet, being distant, because we haven't forgiven,
Yeah.
because we haven't set up those boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard sometimes, when you are hurting, you're still actively hurting. I think that, boundaries is definitely one of the big things that we talked about in the course. But I think also, giving yourself grace to remove yourself for a time, to find a safe space, to be able to um, start the healing process. Like, it's really important. Like, you think about when you cut yourself, there's a moment when you realize, okay, that it's open and it hurts, and now I've got to make a decision. Am I going to leave it alone, or I'm going to continue to irritate it, or let me get it out of harm's way, let me put something on it to help it heal without bacteria in it. Like, just think about those things. Like, you have to protect it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, whether you have, you know, some kind of peroxide or whatever, immediately you put a band-aid on it because you're like, let me protect it, let me isolate it
Yep.
so that
Yep.
it doesn't get further irritated or infected,
Right. Right.
right? And sometimes being still open to the environment can cause toxicity
Yes.
to create a deeper problem,
Right. And
you know?
oftentimes, oh yeah, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
And what I was going to say was, oftentimes people are like, you still tripping about that, or you're still mad about that because you didn't take the time to protect. You didn't take that time out, because oftentimes what we're taught is you just keep going, you just keep showing up, you just keep, and it's like you might need to have that time to pull away.
Yeah.
But to be honest about it, I'm hurt. I just need some time to pull away. I still love you. I'm there in any, you know what I mean? But I need some time. And I think oftentimes we think that we're wrong. I know for me, I
Yeah.
thought that I was wrong, or I was bad, or I wasn't loving, because I
Yeah.
needed that time and I just didn't know how to say it. And I was,
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
And listen, let me tell you, last week was a really emotional week for me. Those of you who follow me know that I have just recently done a very big thing, and I've gone through a season of transition. I winged myself off the 6-year assignment, and now I'm into a different season. And in doing that, I came home that evening and I kind of was just trying to wrap my mind around what had just
Yeah.
happened, right?
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, I walked in the house and my husband was talking, and he was trying to get a feel for where I was, and trying to be supportive, and at the same time he's like, what you need and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
then my son, my teenager, walked in, and he had something going on with him, and it was just, at that point, it was more than I could handle, and I just
Right.
didn't have no more mental real estate, is what I call it.
Yeah.
And I politely got up out of my chair and I walked away in the middle of a conversation. And I said, I don't have it. My brain don't
Right.
have it. And that's what I
Right.
said. And my husband was like,
Yeah.
why do you walk away like that? I said, because I'm trying to protect my mental space, is
Right.
what I said.
Yes.
It's kind of like, whoo, Father God.
Yes.
I was like, I am trying to protect my mental space, and I had to walk out the room and come up in this office and close the door.
Right.
And then he came and checked on me later, like, you good? I said,
Yeah.
I am good. I'm good because I just gave myself some space. I wasn't about to be good. I could feel like I was teetering.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I said, this is going to be bad
Yeah.
for somebody. Probably
Right.
not me.
Right. But for them. Right.
But
And
for
it's
them.
true.
So for your safety and for your health and for mine,
Right.
let me get up out of this room.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's okay.
It's
And
okay.
that is a strategy.
Yes,
It
it
is not
is.
the smoothest strategy,
Right. Right.
but it is kind of a break in case of emergency. Oh, I gotta go get some air.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's fine. I think, one of the principles, and I don't know if you're going to get into this, but one of the principles is that, hey, this thing is not a number one size fits all.
Right. No, it's not.
And it doesn't end.
Right.
It doesn't end.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so where in the 6 weeks did you feel yourself change, start to turn, like, or have a turning point?
I would say in that, I think week 3, like I said, there was a moment where there was a situation and it was triggering for me. And I immediately wanted to just shut down and just kind of like, hey, this is too much. Or, how for me, I get to, because I'm a probation officer by trade.
Okay.
So half of my job, what people don't understand, especially about law enforcement type people, is reading the behavior. And based on reading the behavior, you start to assess, and then you start to say, okay, this is the problem, this is the solution. So I started doing that. But in the spirit realm, God tells us to have grace.
Ooh, come on now. Spirit
Grace
realm.
that he gave me, right? Because I was spiraling out of control. Hey, all of those things, it was me, right? But God gave me grace to save me. So I kind of had a moment of shutdown, but then the Lord showed me, you're being judgmental. You're not giving grace. And whatever it is that's caused you not to forgive that person and that behavior is the other person that reminds you of. And so I had to really say, Lord, help me to forgive all those things or experiences that reminds me of that person, but also help me to show this person grace. Help me to show my enemies grace. Help me to assess myself. Like, why is that such a problem for you?
Mm,
You know. So I would say that was about week 3. And
mm.
I even reached out and just kind of interacted with the person, and it allowed that assessment, that job thing, to
Yeah,
come
it can
down,
bring that down. And
Yeah.
then it was almost iron sharpens iron, because that
Yes.
wasn't even where you were getting your teaching from. You were getting your teaching from me, and then also getting support from mentors. But this other party in the class kind of, that noise when iron is sharpening, like when you
Yeah.
sharpening a knife,
Right.
it's that
Yeah.
dissonance. You're like, oh, wait.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right.
But at the end of that process, you have a sharper knife,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's so interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting because I don't know if I've heard that from anyone else so far in the interview
Mm.
process, that they actually were learning from a place where the learning wasn't expected,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
that's super dope. I love that. But I think that's the power of community,
Yeah.
versus
Absolutely.
doing it one-on-one.
Right.
What changed about the way that you functioned by the end of the program? Like how you even just process, or how do you go about um, applying this newfound information as it relates to forgiveness? What changed about how you function?
So I felt free to say, this hurt me. I need to take a moment, or these are the things that I need to
Mhm,
heal.
mhm,
Um, I forgive you.
mhm,
Even if the person didn't take any type of acknowledgement of, what I felt was inflicted on me, I felt free.
got it.
I felt free. I don't feel like, even now, I don't really feel like I'm obligated to keep going through the same behavior, the same stuff, to prove that I love or I forgive.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I feel free.
That's good.
Um, I didn't feel free. I felt like I always had to show up. I always had to be there because I didn't want to hear something, or I
Mhm.
didn't want to feel the attitude. Now I'm like, hey, that's between you and God, because I got to be better for me,
Yeah.
and even for my family. In my household, it's so crazy because my mom resides with me,
Mhm.
and my mom was like, she sent me a long text message, and I think I shared it with the group. But she was like, I can tell the class really helped you.
Mhm.
She said, I can tell the class really helped you, and I'm proud of you, and just keep moving forward. And so, for people in your own household to be able to say that, that's huge,
That's huge.
because it's so easy for us to put it on outside. It's so easy for us to put it on outside. It's so easy for us to, go to church. Hey, and hey girl, how you doing? I'm good.
Mhm.
And or we blame everybody else. It's
Yeah.
everybody else. It's my kids, it's my husband, it's them. But no, it's me. Because
What's the common trend amongst all those things, right?
it's me.
Yeah.
So I'm
Mhm.
able to look at me now too. That's another thing.
Ooh.
And to find the freedom in, hey, they need forgiveness, they need grace, the way that God gave it to you, the way that God gives it to you. Like I was just explaining to you this morning, like, you know I struggle sometimes with that. I'm like, wow, God is just, I struggle with that sometimes. Like, God gives me grace, really? Because when I was a small child, I was, went to Christian school, and it was a lot of hellfire and brimstone teaching. So I was always afraid I was going to hell. So, like,
Girl, I
my
think we
mindset
all
is,
were.
you step on the crack, you going
Afraid
to
you're gonna
hell.
miss the rapture. Like,
Man,
ah,
all of that, right? And so I'm learning God's grace. Like, I'm really learning that, right? And so, um, yeah, oftentimes, it was like, now I'm starting to feel like, oh wow, God, you really love me. You really gave me some grace, and so I need to give that to other people.
yeah, it really is. And it's a humbling process to not think of yourself as the perfection in the equation
Right.
when you have to offer a gift of forgiveness, because forgiveness means that now I am saying that this person is going to now be in right standing with me again.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is a gift that most people withhold because they feel like the other party is undeserving.
Right. Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
So it means that you have to decrease in order for them to increase. And you're like, well, why would I do that? And they wrong, right?
Right.
And he's like,
Absolutely.
While you were yet in your sins,
Christ died for me and gave
and
his life.
any man who be in Christ is a new creature.
Amen.
Old things are
That,
passed away, and
yes.
all things have become new.
Become
And I'm like,
new.
wait, but yesterday he just slapped me. He said,
Right.
he in Christ, he a new creature. You like,
Yeah.
what?
Right. Right. Yeah. For real.
And he
Yeah.
said he gets a new grace and a new mercy, just like you when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah. That's real.
So, and if he doesn't feel it or he's not living it out yet, it's up to you to reassure them and say, hey, listen, I know that you're challenged right now. And in the same way that Christ gave us grace, like he gave you the gift before you deserved it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
full, complete gift, withholding nothing.
Right. Yes.
So it is that is a humbling moment, but then also a surreal moment where it's like, man, this is why God deserves all the praise, right?
Amen.
Super cool, super cool. Okay, so give us an update on how you're doing now, and what are you doing differently, actively in your life?
So now I am learning what are my triggers.
Okay.
So that when I see them coming, I begin to pray and I begin to start to recite the word.
Okay.
Because the mind is a battlefield. And it's so easy to get caught up in what you think you know about a person. Like I said, for me, I have to constantly take off my job, take off the way that I see people, because it's easy for me to say, hey, you're being manipulative right now, and that's not okay. But I need to say, it's okay. I'm going to love you through it. So as I start to see certain things that trigger me, then I say, hey, what does the word say about loving your enemies? What does the word say about grace? What does the word say about forgiveness? You know, what does the word say about having the plank in your eye? Because that's really judgment. At the end of the day, I get paid to judge people. But in the Lord, I cannot judge anybody, because as I judge, I will be judged. So
really
constantly
that it's a, what do you call it, like a binary relationship that you constantly in the world but not of the world, like, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and just extending myself as a sister in Christ to whoever, you know.
Yes, I want to push you a little bit, but we're gonna very carefully have this conversation. I also got a chance to join you in a conversation with someone who had been a place of hurt for you. And you want to tell us a little bit about what that experience was like. This was the first time I've ever done that. And so to be able to support as a facilitator in that was different for me, but I want to hear from your, like, how that went for you from your perspective, where you sat, and then how that impacts where you are now.
So we had the conversation, and you know, you were present as, you know, as a minister. And I think I won't say wear the hat, because you never take that hat off. But you actively did an amazing job in that role, bringing down any tension, any confusion, any type of stress. But I was able to express myself without without expectation, this class really helped me not to have any expectation. And I felt like in the conversation, I didn't get the response I really wanted.
Mhm.
I didn't get the acknowledgement of hurt,
Mhm.
but I had peace. And
Mhm.
I was able to say, hey, they're not ready yet. They're not ready to accept what was being said. And I hope that I extended the love um in the confrontation, because
And even
love,
that word confrontation has so many negative
it does.
connotations, right? It's actually just what we mean when we say it is to confront an issue, like
Right,
it's to have a place of meeting where
right,
we can have a communication about a particular problem.
right,
And it doesn't have to be like,
right, right.
Housewives of Atlanta. Like,
No,
you don't have to be that,
no, not at all.
not at all. It could just be a conversation. And
Yes,
then here's the thing, I think one of the most important things I got out of it was there was love. It was wrapped in love.
right.
The entire experience was
Yes,
really from a place of love. Um, and it was an active opportunity to be the hands and feet of Jesus in that moment, like to extend love and grace in the same way that God did to us. It was
yes,
that. It was like,
yes.
you know, I love you, and because I love you, I want to have this conversation.
Right, exactly. Because I don't want to be around you and feel this way.
Right. Because I know
And
that that is wrong.
right, it's horrible. And as women of God, we got to stop.
Yeah.
We all day. It's so not okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And it's like, and you understand where people are. Hey, it was okay. It was okay that the person wasn't ready, right? To say,
Yeah.
hey, but it was okay because
Yeah.
I
It's not your job to make them ready.
it's
God
not,
deals with the heart.
but I
But
felt free,
that's so
and,
good.
and I was able to love them past whatever, and there's no expectation for me now,
Yeah.
you know. And there
Yeah.
were
That is freeing.
right, and there were boundaries set up in that meeting to make me feel safe. And I also asked, do you think that's something that you can do? Because I
Mhm.
want to respect the person's feelings as well. And if that person say, hey, well, you know what, I can't do that. I love you enough to be like, okay, well, when you feel like you need to tell me what you need or whatever, I'm open to that as well.
So good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I was like, there are, moments in my life where I'm kind of blown away and I don't know what to say. What just happened, right? But
Right.
that was definitely a great moment. I hope that that other party that they walked away. I think initially it was a little shocking, but I hope that they walked away with like, that was actually really dope. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
because this is what the Bible tells us to practice, in Matthew 18. Like, you
Yeah.
have a situation, go directly to the person, um,
Right.
and have this conversation. And if you feel like you can't do it alone, take support.
Right.
In this case, I happen to be a minister, but then they actually outline in the word, elders and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
this has been a great, great, great kind of recap and conversation. Danielle, I'm so proud of you. I really, really, really just we have been friends for a few years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Danielle, funny enough, y'all, Danielle and I started off like we were put together as roommates at a women's conference at a
Yeah.
retreat. And we bonded over this silly commercial.
No,
I
right.
don't know. Who was it? Tay Diggs? Tay Diggs was doing a nationwide
Yeah.
commercial, and
Yeah.
he kept
Right.
nationwide. It's like, and I don't know why we thought that was so funny, but that whole weekend, that's literally what we did. We like, hung out by the
Yeah.
pool, did our thing,
Yeah.
sang that stupid jingle, prayed, sang a cappella in the bathroom in our
Yeah.
room. Like it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah. It was
just like
real.
it was just good girl time. And
Yes.
so that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then our kids, I was children's ministry director, so her daughter was in my class. and we've bonded together in terms of serving in a second location for our church. It's just been a good time, and I really appreciate you and just your ability to trust me to walk you through very sensitive topics like this means a lot to me, because sometimes it's often the ones who are closest to you, who know you the best, who are like, I ain't letting you talk to me, but I really appreciate you entrusting these sensitive matters of the heart to me. I don't take it lightly. So I just want you to know how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And continue to live it out. That's my charge to you. Continue to exercise it and practice it daily. All right.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Well, we're going to end this, you guys. If you are not currently on our mailing list, please go ahead and join us. It is www. Nobody says that anymore. campaignp31.com. You can go ahead and sign up for our mailing list. You should be receiving, if you do it today, you should be receiving a blog post that I send out weekly, just to read and to receive some encouragement. And so we'd love to have you in our community. We're always doing stuff, and we're getting ready to kickstart another session of Beauty and Forgiveness. So shameless plug, go ahead and sign up if you are on the fence. Hopefully this interview was able to shine some light on all of the work that we do, and some of the great relationships you are able to build within our community. So we're signing off. Thanks, Danielle, for joining me.